Hi guys, everybody knows if you want to be successful with your videos, let's say you're making dumb YouTube content like myself, or you're making some indie films, or maybe you're doing some documentary work. Well, of course you have to have nice visuals, and a wonderful subject certainly helps, but something that will make the audience turn off your video or your film faster than anything is the bad audio, and nothing has changed my life in terms of audio as much as this little cute recorder right here. It is 32-bit float. It is fantastic, and we should talk about it. So this right here is the Zoom F3. Nobody is sponsoring this video, by the way. No one sent me this one or my other one because I have two Zoom F3s because number one, they are quite affordable, and number two, I use these for everything. I use it for my YouTube stuff, and I use it for my other personal projects. And the main reason is the 32-bit float. Yes, this little tiny device has 32-bit float, so I plug in my XLR mics. You're listening to my Rode NTG3 right now being plugged in. That's why you see the wave file going up and down there. And when you plug in your XLR mic to this little fella here, you're just not going to get any clipping. So I can talk as loud as I want into the microphone, or I can talk very, very quietly. And then when you talk quietly, you can actually raise that volume up, and it doesn't raise the noise floor if you're too loud, as long as you don't blow out the microphone itself. And a good XLR mic like this, you're not going to do that. As long as you don't blow out the microphone, you are able to recover your audio. You're able to just set your levels in post. I cannot tell you what a relief that is when you're out, you're trying to film something, you're trying to set things up. So like in my day job, I'm a stand-up comic. I mean, I'm starting to do YouTube more full-time now, and comedy, I'm getting older. You know, I'm starting to semi-retire from the comedy, but I record my own albums, my own audio albums to be played on satellite radio, and I also record a lot of the other comedians' albums. And the thing with comedians is sometimes they will speak in a very normal tone of voice, and then they'll get super excited, and they'll hit a punchline, and they'll yell really loud, or the crowd will go bananas, and they'll stick the mic down their throats, and blah, blah, blah. And it is just, you will get distorted audio. You cannot fix that. So you're trying to set your levels back in the green room, that there's enough headroom so they won't peak, but that it's loud enough so I won't get a ton of noise if I have to raise up the volume. Such a pain in the butt. And there were many times I lost clips because the comedian would just peak the audio too badly and it would be too distorted. That is a thing of the past. With this, I just set it up. And so so the comedians I've worked with in the past, sometimes they'll be like, okay, so how loud should I talk? So do whatever you want, buddy. Do whatever you want. I am okay. And for my own YouTube videos, I just plug in the mic, turn it on, and it just to never worry about your levels. It's crazy. It is such a wonderful feeling. Now, one of the reasons I'm making this particular video is that when I made my recent video about setting up a studio that looks pro on a budget, I had budget microphones in there, and a lot of people were asking, yeah, but what is the ultimate setup you would do for the best possible audio in your studio or out in the field? And this is it. Get a nice shotgun microphone, a nice condenser microphone, and then you get one of these Zoom F3s. I mean, it doesn't have to be this, but I would recommend a 32-bit float device of some kind, and this is one of the most affordable ones and just such a convenient and small package. It's just, this is the one, certainly, that I would get. I have two. And what I do when I'm recording video, especially if I'm doing these YouTube videos, I will just press record on my camera, and I will press record on this, and then I will sync them up in post. Usually just, I will say, synchronize clips in Final Cut, one touch, and it is done. Now, this does have an optional Bluetooth module that will give you extra functionality, such as timecode. You can use this with certain devices and timecode when you have that Bluetooth functionality, but I just bought the base model because that is how I'm going to use this. Recording in the comedy clubs, recording here. Now, it has two locking XLR inputs, and if you need more than two XLR inputs, you're going to have to upgrade to the Zoom F6, but that costs about 3 times as much as this little Zoom F3. And look at how small and light This little thing is, oh my God. It has these little rails here, see, on the side. And that is not just for aesthetics. You can just thread in a little belt through that, and you could Velcro it to your wrist, which was what a lot of people have been doing when they are recording their field audio. They just strap this to their wrist, and then there's a little headphone jack. You see that? So a little headphone out so they can monitor their audio with this thing on their wrist and a boom mic and a pole, all just one little convenient setup. Or sometimes people strap this right to the boom pole. Such a tiny little mobile setup. It looks wireless because you're just holding the boom pole and the microphone, and this thing is strapped to the boom pole, and then you can run the headphones from that right to your head. Oh, fantastic. You can power it by 2 AA batteries, but you can also just power it through a USB-C port right there, which is what I do when I'm in the studio. I just leave it plugged in to a USB-C cord, just going right into my wall. And you can also use that USB-C port for an audio interface plugged in to your computer or your tablet. It does take micro SD cards, which is here right behind this little rubber flap. And on the other side here, this is the part for the Bluetooth module if you want it. And there is the on-off button. The on-off button, it boots up very, very quickly, which is great. Some of the Zoom products, they take a while to boot up. This guy boots up really fast. I appreciate that. You know, when you're turning things on and off very quickly, it can be a real pain in the butt if it takes like 30 seconds for something to boot up. This just a few seconds. And then when you turn it off, it has a little goodbye, see you thing, which is kind of cute. So here's where you put the batteries in, and you also see a mounting port there on the back. So you can just mount that right on to a mic stand or a tripod, something like that. Just really well thought out, really clever, which is great because it's so small and lightweight. You definitely can have this as a mobile unit. And probably the most important part of this entire device is the sound quality. The preamps in this thing are fantastic. I have the Zoom H4n Pro and the Zoom H6, and this thing, it just sounds a lot better than those two devices. I was happy with the way those sounded until I heard this, and then I thought, wow, yeah, that is an upgrade for a preamp. For sure, I can see why pros would prefer this for number one, the 32-bit float, but also that preamp. It sounds just excellent. I mean, listen to it right now. Don't I sound excellent? It's weird. I'm actually getting a cold right now because my kids are back in school and it's the fall here in Canada. So I will be sick for about 3 solid months, maybe 4 solid months. And I know the irony of talking about really, really good audio when you're starting to lose your voice. But what are you going to do? It's just going to be like this for months and months and months. Why do I live in Canada? And when you hook up those fancy condenser shotgun mics that need phantom power, you are covered with this guy. It outputs phantom power to those microphones. I will leave a list down below of XLR microphones in different price brackets that will jive well with the Zoom F3. So even though it's an extra step to sync the audio from this to my camera in post, the bump in quality is more than worth it for me, not to mention the 32-bit float, so I don't have to worry about setting my levels. This is my preferred way to record my audio for my videos, or even if I'm doing straight audio, like recording the comedians' albums. I can't speak highly enough about this guy right here, and let me know down below how you like to shoot your audio. What devices do you use? And we'll have a nice little discussion about it. Thanks for watching this one. We'll talk to you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.